There's, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 bolts going, and keeping the pressure plate on. And 10 millimeters. So. I'm probably gonna install the flywheel holding tool. Alright, so I got the clutch and the pressure plate removed. I just want to show you what I did. I'm using a flywheel holding tool right here. Basically what I did was I took a nut and I put it on the back side, and then I just took one of the regular bolts that goes into the transmission, or that bolts the transmission down. It goes into the side of the engine, and so I put the nut on the back side, and then I just have the tool jammed into between one of the teeth of the flywheel. I tightened up the nut in this bolt. That way it pinches, the tool. That way it doesn't, rotate or anything like that, and it stays stationary. Alright, now it's time to take the flywheel off. I still have the flywheel holder on. These bolts are the Torx heads, and it's the same ones that are on, well, it's not the same ones, I mean the size is the same ones that are on the lower control arms, and it's T55. So, and yes, I am using a torque wrench to take these off. I really need to get a breaker bar. Alright, now for the very last bolt. I left the last one from top on top. I have my transmission jack directly under it. That way it just doesn't fall into the ground, and I don't have to be trying to hold it with my other hand as much. And just trying to work safe and smart. Right, now that the flywheel is off, go ahead and clean this surface, the crankshaft surface, and we just use like a brake cleaner. I'm just going to spray a brake cleaner onto a rag and then just wipe this off. Alright, so let's torque down the flywheel bolts. To do so, you're going to torque them down in 3 different stages, and you will be torquing them down in a star pattern. So, star pattern will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then finally 6. The first stage will torque them down to 442 inch-pounds or 36.8 foot-pounds. And then the second stage, you'll torque them down to 59 foot-pounds. And then finally, the third stage, you will torque them down to 82.6 foot-pounds. And I got a little ahead of myself when I installed this. You're going to need to take the pressure plate bolts off. It's a 7mm Allen head. Alright, before we begin installing the clutch and the pressure plate, we want to make sure that the flywheel is clean. You can actually see I accidentally touched it when I was installing it, so there's a little bit of grease on it. And then we'll actually want to clean the clutch disc and then also the pressure plate. So I just sprayed a very light mist of brake cleaner onto a clean towel, and I'm just going to wipe this off. I got a little bit of stuff out of it. Alright, and now for the clutch disc. Again, clean towel, a little bit of brake cleaner on it. And now for the pressure plate. You can actually see some fingerprints and stuff like that on it. So Alright, now I'm just going to go and use a completely dry rag and just wipe all three, the pressure plate, the clutch, and the flywheel, just to make sure there's no residual film or anything like that on it. There really shouldn't be, but you can actually see a little bit right around here. Alright, so I just want to explain how this clutch and the pressure plate is actually going to be mounted to the flywheel. If you look, there's actually an island or a machined section of the flywheel that's protruding out from the surface of the actual contact surface of the flywheel. That's right here. So right here you have a guide pin, guide pin, and then you have two holes on each of these three islands to go and mount the pressure plate and clutch to. So if you look at the clutch, they basically have the same holes that match this, which I'll also show you in a second. Alright, so if you look at the back of the pressure plate, you can actually see where each island would go and connect to, and you have three of them right here. So you would have the guide pin going into this one, and then 2 bolts, guide pin, 2 bolts, guide pin, and finally 2 bolts. Before we put into place, we have a pilot tool right here, which is going to go into the splines of the clutch. And there's one other thing, on each side there is a label of which side is supposed to go on. So you have trans side, and then you have FW side, flywheel side. So trans side will be going against the pressure plate, and the flywheel side will be facing up. Right, now the reasoning for this is you'll actually put this through here. This, the end of this will actually fit into the hole that's within the crankshaft, and it'll basically line the clutch up to where it needs to be. If you can see, like, there's no lip or anything like that on this side to keep it centered. So when we bolt this down, this clutch needs to be as centered as it possibly can. That way, when we go in and reinstall the transmission, when the input shaft comes through here, it's actually lined up properly. Because if it's off center like that, and we try and putting the input shaft of the transmission through this clutch, it's just not going to work out, and the pressure plate's going to be bolted down, and so basically this clutch is going to be pushing against the flywheel, and it's not going to be easily movable. Backing it out just a hair to try and get the third one seated, or actually going in the hole. Don't move. I'm putting the bolts in. I guess see if I can just pull it in with the bolts. Had it going in earlier, right before I started recording this. There we go. Now it's going in. Too tight to work. I can't move the flywheel. Or not the flywheel, but the clutch. Now I'm just going to position the clutch correctly. There's openings that you can actually see where the clutch is sitting, and if you get it, these bolts just tight enough to where it's pushing in on the clutch slightly. You can also see where the edge of the clutch is meeting the edge of the surface of the flywheel, and you should be able to go and try and line it up before you start tightening it down. Alright, and what I mean as far as lining the clutch up with the edge of the flywheel, you can actually see the clutch disc right there, and you can also see the very edge of the flywheel. And then there's 3 openings where you can actually see this. So if you just compare all 3 openings, you should be able to try and get the flywheel, or not the flywheel, the clutch centered up. So I have the bolts tightened down snug, so we're gonna have to torque them down next. Alright, now to torque the pressure plate bolts down. So according to the shop manual, you're supposed to go and torque them down in basically like 2 stages. The first stage is torquing 3 bolts down in a triangle, and how it's depicted is you would torque the bolts down that are to the right hand side of the guide pin, or the clockwise side of the guide pin. So you would torque this one down to 194 inch-pounds, and then you would torque this one down to the same, and then this one down. After that, you would go and torque all 6 of them down to 256 inch-pounds.